Whitney's voice echoed off the stone pillars as she exclaimed, "I had no idea they were letting riffraff into Crestview now." She continued, "Looks like they'll take just about anyone to boost their inclusivity stats." Suddenly, a tray crashed to the floor, silencing the lavish dining hall of Crestview Academy. All eyes turned towards the commotion, where Whitney loomed over Aisha Jackson, the scholarship student with rich brown skin, now looking a mess with juice and cafeteria lasagna splattered on her. Whitney stomped deliberately on Aisha's scattered papers with her fancy sneakers, while smartphones were raised all around to capture the moment. Aisha's hands trembled, tomato sauce running down her face as she clutched her worn satchel, hiding her third-degree black belt. A tight circle of 50 wealthy students stood around them, their expensive uniforms creating a wall of privilege that trapped Aisha in the middle. "What's wrong? Can't you even talk right?" Whitney sneered, tossing more food at Aisha with her perfectly manicured nails. "Did they just let you in because your kind is good at sports? It definitely wasn't for your brains." The sauce burned Aisha's eyes as she knelt to gather her destroyed notes. Her jaw tightened, recalling her mentor's advice, "True strength is knowing when to hold back." Her fingers curled instinctively into a defensive position, but she forced them to relax. Whitney leaned in, her golden hair swaying, and hissed, "You don't belong here. Go back to whatever dump you crawled out of." Laughter erupted as Aisha slowly stood up, food dripping from her clothes. For a brief moment, a glimmer of hidden strength flickered in her eyes, so intense that even Whitney took a step back. 312 days, Aisha reminded herself, counting down until her scholarship reassessment. "Just keep the scholarship. It's your only way out." The scent of expensive perfume mixed with pasta sauce and shame as Aisha walked away, standing tall, each step intentionally placed, leaving a trail of sauce on the shiny tiles. The outline of her black belt pressed against her satchel, a quiet promise that this story wasn't over. When Aisha unlocked the door to apartment for C and stepped inside, the citrus cleaner and chamomile tea aroma told her that her grandmother, Clara, was home for a break between shifts. Their small two-bedroom apartment in Riverside felt like a different world compared to Crestview Academy's vast grounds and manicured gardens. The living room transformed into Aisha's bedroom at night, with a fold-out sofa making it tough for her morning workouts. "Is that you, sweetheart?" Clara called from the kitchen, her voice tired. Aisha heard the familiar sound of her grandmother's clogs on the linoleum. "Yeah, it's me," she answered, placing her satchel by the door. She decided not to mention the ruined notes or Whitney's cruelty. Clara worked exhausting double shifts at City General to cover what the scholarship didn't. The last thing she needed was to carry another burden. Clara leaned in the doorway, still dressed in her scrubs, her silver hair pulled back tight. The lines around her eyes showed just how much time had passed since Aisha's dad passed away 3 years ago. "How was school?" she asked, her gaze searching Aisha's face with the watchful eye of someone who had raised her since she was 6. "It was fine, just really tired," Aisha lied, forcing a smile. "Ms. Lee says I could be valedictorian if I keep my grades up." Clara's expression softened a bit, pride brightening her tired eyes. "Your father would be so proud," she said, giving Aisha's shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "I'm heading to my night shift now. There's stew in the fridge. Don't stay up too late studying." After Clara left, Aisha moved the coffee table out of the way and rolled out the old mat her dad had given her for her 9th birthday. The texture felt familiar and grounding under her bare feet. Closing her eyes, she let the day's embarrassment turn into determination. She started with breathing exercises, then moved into basic forms, her movements sharp and precise. As she worked through the advanced techniques, her body flowed with a grace and strength that would have silenced anyone watching her. With each kick, strike, and perfectly poised stance, she told a story of countless hours put into her training. Memories of her father came rushing back, his calm voice guiding her through her first taekwondo forms at the community center after school. "Harness it, Aisha," he had said after she'd come home crying about kids teasing her for wearing thrift store clothes. "Turn hurt into strength." After his unexpected stroke at 40 and the burden of no insurance, Clara had miraculously found a way to keep Aisha's training going. "It keeps his spirit alive," she'd said, "and keeps that spark in you lit." Now, in their cramped living room, Aisha executed a flawless aerial kick, her body suspended for a brief moment in bliss before landing silently. Master Kim, her mentor at the community dojo, had recently told her she was ready for the national tournament, a shot at college funding if she could place in the top 3. Just the thought of college, an escape from her current life, made her heart swell with hope. But the $2,000 entry fee was an amount they simply didn't have. A notification pinged on her phone, and her heart sank as she saw Whitney's latest post, a sneaky snapshot of Aisha picking up her scattered notes, Captioned, welfare kid having a rough day. Maybe she'll return to where she belongs. The comments flowed in, each one like a fresh wound. Aisha threw her phone onto the sofa and went back to her mat, pouring her anger into a fierce sequence that might have made the neighbors below feel the vibrations. Morning came far too quickly. Aisha rolled up her mat and cleaned the living room before getting ready for another day at Crestview. On the bus, her pulse quickened when she saw an email pop up. National Taekwondo Tournament registration deadline. 2 weeks. Last year's third-place finisher. We hope to see you compete. Please confirm entry and submit the $2,000 fee. Staring at the screen, the amount loomed like a challenge. Clara's words from the previous night echoed in her mind. Your father would be so proud. But asking for money they didn't have wasn't an option. Without this tournament, her shot at a full college scholarship would vanish into thin air. The following week at Crestview felt like a planned assault on exclusion. Aisha walked over to the biology study group in the library, carrying her textbook. Sorry, we're at capacity. Ethan, Whitney's boyfriend and the soccer team captain, said. There were 3 empty chairs at the table. Miss Carter said groups of 5, Aisha pointed out. We're full, Whitney shot back without bothering to look up from her phone. Besides, we're busy planning next month's charity gala. My parents are the main donors, and the winner gets a $2,500 prize. Not that you'd have any talent to showcase. Aisha's mind raced at the thought of that $2,500, enough to cover her tournament fees and travel costs. She hung around a bit too long, and Whitney finally glanced at her. What? You think you can compete? Whitney laughed, attracting attention from nearby tables. The gala is for real talent, not whatever your kind does on the streets. Aisha turned away, her cheeks burning, but her mind was already working on a plan. The Crestview Charity Gala was a big deal. Wealthy parents and alumni were ready to spend. Past winners had landed prestigious internships. For Aisha, that $2,500 meant everything. After school, Aisha went to see her counselor, Miss Harper, to report the ongoing bullying. Miss Harper listened with a calm smile that never reached her eyes. Whitney Caldwell's family contributed to the West Library wing, Miss Harper remarked while sorting through papers. Maybe you should try harder to fit in. Crestview has a particular culture. Taking a chance on your scholarship was risky. Don't make us regret it. The underlying threat stuck with Aisha. She left, realizing she wouldn't find any support from the administration. The next day in biology lab, Aisha carefully measured solutions for their group project, most of which she had done by herself. While she turned to grab a flask, Whitney's arm accidentally knocked over the mixture, ruining Aisha's lab notes. The sharp chemical smell stung her nose as the spilled liquid destroyed her work. Miss Jackson, Mr. Daniels shouted, watch your equipment. That's a 0 for today. But Aisha started to protest. I saw what happened. One more word, and it's detention. Some students, he emphasized, should value the opportunities they've been given. Whitney openly smirked. Clearly, the rules didn't apply to her. That afternoon at the community dojo, Aisha vented her frustrations on the training dummy, striking it with focused rage. Each blow was precise but heavy as she processed her day. Master Kim observed from the doorway, his expression unreadable. After she finished and her uniform was soaked with sweat, he stepped closer. Your form is perfect, but there's something off about your spirit. Taekwondo isn't about vengeance, it's about finding balance in mind and body. They'll never accept me, Aisha murmured. No matter how perfect my grades are or how polite I am, they've already made up their minds about me. Master Kim's expression softened. Then it's your chance to show them who you really are. The tournament is coming up. You're ready. And about the entry fee, determination finds a way. Trust your journey. The next day, Aisha stayed late at school to use the library. Walking past the empty gym, she heard rhythmic thuds. Curiosity led her inside, where Ms. Evans, the PE coach, was practicing basketball drills with impressive precision. Aisha was captivated by the older woman's focus. You just gonna stand there? Ms. Evans called out without stopping. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Aisha stepped in. Sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. After sinking a final shot, Ms. Evans turned to her. You're the scholarship kid, Jackson, right? Aisha nodded, bracing herself for any criticism. I've seen you in PE. You move differently, like you've had proper training. Aisha paused before admitting, Taekwondo. I'm a third-degree black belt. Ms. Evans raised an eyebrow. Impressive. So why let Whitney Caldwell walk all over you? The directness took Aisha by surprise. My scholarship is based on academics, not on putting up with bad behavior. Ms. Evans dribbled the ball thoughtfully. I played in the WNBA. They told me I didn't belong. Too short, too bold, too black. Have you thought about the gala? That martial arts background would really stand out there. The idea, which had been simmering in Aisha's mind, suddenly felt tangible and intimidating when spoken aloud. Aisha murmured, "They'd never let me win." Ms. Evans nodded in agreement, saying, "Maybe not, but sometimes it's not about winning, it's being seen." Those words stuck with Aisha as she walked home, the idea taking root in her mind. Even a performance that seemed unfair could go viral and draw in tournament sponsors. But then her phone blew up with notifications. Whitney and her friends had created a fake profile using Aisha's picture, filled with nasty posts that exaggerated stereotypes about poor black students. Half the school had already seen it, and the comments were piling up with hurtful emojis. Aisha's hands trembled as she reported the account, knowing it wouldn't change anything. The harm was already done. For the first time at Crestview, she let her tears fall, not from sadness, but from burning anger. At that moment, she made a vow she would enter the gala. She'd show them exactly who Aisha Jackson was, and they wouldn't be able to forget it. The locker room was quiet after hours, or at least that's how it seemed to Aisha. She avoided the usual crowd, waiting for the building to empty so she could grab her gym clothes. As she approached her locker, she overheard frantic whispers. "I can't do it. Lauren, I've been practicing for weeks, but it's just not coming together." Whitney's voice faltered, lacking its usual confidence. "The gala's in 3 weeks, Whit. Your parents expect you to win, especially since they're funding it." Lauren, always by Whitney's side, sounded annoyed. "You think I don't know that?" Whitney shot back. "If I lose, my dad will cut my allowance. And if anyone finds out I stole the routine from that viral video." Aisha pressed herself against the wall, holding her breath. "No one will find out," Lauren reassured her. "Just keep practicing. Your parents basically run this school. The judges won't dare pick anyone else." Their voices faded as they walked away. Aisha stood there, stunned, taking in Whitney's fear of being exposed, a phony hiding behind a facade. Later that night, Aisha sat at the tiny kitchen table, staring at the glowing gala entry form on her laptop. Her finger lingered over the submit button. Entering meant risking everything, her scholarship, her privacy, her future. But the $2,500 prize could open doors to the tournament and more. She remembered Whitney's panic, Ms. Evans' challenge, and Master Kim's belief in her. With a deep breath, she typed A. Jackson into the name field, enough to stay under Whitney's radar until the performance, and hit submit. The confirmation popped up, "Thanks for your entry. Performance slot 14. It was official. No going back now. The next morning, Aisha woke early to Clara's coughing. She found her grandmother on the edge of her bed, struggling to breathe. "It's nothing." Clara attempted to downplay Aisha's concern, but the cough didn't let up during breakfast, and Aisha noticed the feverish red on her cheeks. "You need to see a doctor," Aisha insisted. "I can't miss work," Clara replied, wheezing. "Bills are due." After some back and forth, Aisha managed to convince her to go to urgent care before school. The diagnosis, pneumonia. They prescribed antibiotics and a week of bed rest. "Who's going to cover your shifts?" Aisha asked while they were on the bus home, her mind running through numbers. Without Clara's paycheck, even for just a week, they'd be in trouble. "Don't stress about that," Clara replied, her tone a mix of weak but determined. "Just focus on school." Later that night, after making sure Clara took her medicine, Aisha checked their bank account, $2,437. Definitely not enough for rent, utilities, or groceries. Then, an email from Crestview popped up, a scholarship mid-year review with Headmaster Thompson scheduled for April 15th, just a day after the gala. The message mentioned how her academic performance and character evaluation would influence the scholarship decision. Aisha caught the implication. This was no regular review. It was tied directly to her gala participation. The next couple of weeks were an exhausting balancing act. Aisha got up at 4:30 a.m. to practice her taekwondo routine in the dim living room, careful not to disturb Clara. At school, she kept a low profile while Whitney's bullying intensified, sensing something was off with Aisha but not able to figure out what. During lunch, Aisha would sneak into empty classrooms to practice, using the reflections in the windows to refine her technique. After school, she hustled home to cook, clean, and look after Clara, then practiced late into the night before diving into her homework to maintain her perfect GPA. Sleep felt like a distant dream. With just a week to go, the buzz around the mysterious Ed Jackson began among Crestview students. The program only had names and types of performances. Slot 14 simply said martial arts display. Aisha overheard Whitney sneering, probably that nerd from debate club. "As if anyone cares about kung fu. My modern dance routine is going to blow everyone away." Aisha stayed quiet, just counting down the days. 6, 5, 4. 3 days before the gala, Clara's health got a bit better, allowing her to pick up some light shifts, which eased the financial strain just a bit, but the scholarship review was still on her mind. 2 days away from the event, Aisha stayed late to use the empty gym for one last full rehearsal. Just as she was getting into it, a noise at the door distracted her. Miss Evans was standing there with her arms crossed. "So this is what you've been up to," she said, a smirk on her face. "I was curious about Egg Jackson." Aisha felt her heart race. "Please don't tell anyone." Miss Evans grinned. "And miss the look on Whitney's face when you walk out?" "Not a chance." She watched Aisha practice. "Your technique is spot on, but you look wiped out. When's the last time you got some sleep?" Aisha brushed it off, but Miss Evans threw her the keys to her office. "There's a couch in there. Go take a 20-minute nap. I'll give you a ride home. You can't perform if you pass out." Aisha accepted the offer, quickly dozing off, her father's voice echoing in her mind. "You've got this, Aisha. Show them who you are." The night before the gala arrived with a sense of inevitability. In Master Kim's dojo, Aisha executed her routine under his watchful eye, combining traditional taekwondo forms with powerful breaks and acrobatic moves, blending technical skill with her personal journey. When she finally finished, breathless but composed, Master Kim nodded approvingly. "You've put together something remarkable. Just remember why you're doing this." "For the prize," Aisha replied. "For the tournament." He shook his head. "That's what you want, not why you should perform. Do it for your father's legacy. Do it for you." His words stuck with her on the walk home, the night air crisp. Upon arriving at the apartment, she found Clara sitting with unpaid bills, looking defeated. "The hospital sent last week's bills," she sighed. "Insurance didn't cover it all." The total, $1,800, hit Aisha like a punch to the gut. Even winning the gala wouldn't cover everything. "I signed up for the gala," Aisha admitted. "First prize is $2,500. Clara's eyes widened. "You'll do taekwondo in front of everyone." When Aisha nodded, Clara held her hand tightly. "Your father never backed down from a challenge, and neither should you. We'll face tomorrow together." The stage was set, and Aisha was determined to rewrite her future.